Hello and welcome to my Zutara Month Speed Paint. Today I'll be showing my process drawing Zuko and Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Before I move on though, I unfortunately need to give a quick disclaimer. I've been a Zutara fan since forever, so I know how upset people can get about their favorite ships. Personally, I've been over the whole shipping war thing for a while, so if you're not a Zutara fan and you think watching this might upset you, you are under no obligation to watch this video or look at my fan art. I respect your choice in character ships by not going into your spaces, so please respect mine by not leaving a comment about how you don't like Zutara or doing any other trolly behavior. It's just not worth it. That said, if you are a Zutara fan, please feel free to comment as much as you'd like about Zutara, Avatar, or drawing, or just anything. Okay, moving on. I made this for Zutara Month 2023. If you're not familiar with Zutara Month, it's a fan-created event in which there is a creative prompt for each day of the month. Fans can make pretty much anything inspired by the prompt, and they share it on Tumblr or Instagram, and the event mods reblog it on their account for all of us to see and appreciate. Zutara Month was inspired by Zutara Week, which is a separate event run usually in the summer or early autumn. And fun fact, Zutara Week was the very first of the fan weeks created way back in 2008 by a couple of dedicated Zutara fans on DeviantArt. I've been participating in both events since I heard about them many years ago, and they're always something I look forward to. There's just something about seeing fans from all over the world come together and gush over the same fictional characters that just warms my heart. This drawing here is for day 7, and the prompt is touch starved. I was sort of torn between this pose and making a very short comic and taking it in a different direction, but the comic would have been part of a bigger idea kind of hibernating in my head, and I'm just not ready to use it yet. Meanwhile, this pose was originally an option I gave for a recent commission, but the commissioner chose something different, and when I heard the prompt, this just immediately came to mind, so I went with it. Touch starved has some possible risque connotations to it, but I wanted to lean more into the soft and comfy feel. I guess I kind of imagined Katara had been away for a while for ambassador duties and has finally come home to Zuko, and here they are taking some quiet, secluded time away from everything just to be close and catch up, whatever that means to you. I also debated on whether or not to record my sketching process. I know some people like to see that step, myself included, but in the end it's just a lot more comfortable to sketch without the camera blocking my way, and honestly this video is pretty long without that step included. But let me know in the comments if you prefer to see my sketch process next time. So now I'm done with the inking, and I've moved on to flatting my colors. I always try to skip past this as much as I can because it's just like a sort of a long, tedious process, and I don't like it. But it's very necessary. I put everything on its own layer so that I can easily change its color later. I will do this many times sometimes in a drawing. I'm no good at color initially, but eventually I get there just by trial and error. It's also sort of the start of what I kind of consider the ugly phase of my drawings. It's when I sort of lose momentum and I need to kind of reestablish what I'm going for in my drawings. Sometimes adding shadow will help, other times it just sort of makes it more worse. But eventually I like to think that I get there. I do sort of enjoy the process of building up the colors and the effects and trying to get the mood that I really want from a piece. Everything though is, including the inks, are subject to change. You'll notice I already did change the couch from what it was inked at before. It looked comfy before, but I wanted to make it, as if they were in the Fire Nation, and I don't think a Fire Nation would have like a big comfy couch like that. I think they needed something a little bit more ornate, so I made it that way. Also, you see here, Katara's hair is much lighter. That's going to be darker soon, as well as Zuko's skin. Right now it looks so pale and lifeless. I promise it didn't look quite that way when I was drawing it, but it will be fleshed out a little bit more. We'll give him some color. And Katara's hair is always, it's one of my favorite things, because when you see I'm just completely drawing outside of the lines. I like to make hair believable and flowy, and sometimes that just means drawing it with the color rather than the lines, and it's become sort of a relaxing thing. I used to hate drawing hair, but it's one of those things where I wanted to get good at it, so I kept going at it and practicing, and the more I did, the more I realized that, oh hey, I kind of like it. But it's certainly a process. I'll be coming back to the hair on and off throughout the drawing. Zuko's hair is long. I like long-haired Zuko, but his is just easier because it's black, so you don't see as much detail in there, and it doesn't have like the wavy curls that Katara has. As someone who has thick, dark, curly hair, I like to represent as much as I can, even though she doesn't really have tight curls. It's something. So here I am adding some more shadow. This is partly because I haven't really established the lighting situation at all, so all of that is very ambiguous, but I also wanted to make sure that the focal point remained their faces. They are sort of on one side of the canvas, and I considered cropping it just to make that easier, but I did kind of like the layout there. So the shadow just helps make them the focal point. Their little happy faces remain the focal point. But then I also realized that it is a little too dark for my liking. I don't think that I want it that dark. So I changed up the color a bit, and now I'm adding the highlights, which are one of my favorite parts, just because it adds so much, I think, to a character. I would look at Zutara's hair before and after the highlights. I will go back several times after this to mess with the highlights for her. Partway through, I realized that the brush that I'm using is too rough. I love the brush. It's the one I've been using all along with the inking, but I think her hair needs more of a softer touch, so I go in there with a softer brush, and that helps. So here's a good example of why I keep all my colors on their own layers, even though it can be troublesome sometimes. So right now they're under an overlay layer that has sort of a pinkish hue, and I also sort of darkened Zuko's skin, and now I'm messing with his scars. And because of those two changes, the colors of his scars also needed to be changes because color is relative. And had it not been on its own layer, that would have been a much more difficult task. But no, it was easier just messing with the hue and saturation and all of that. Here, I wanted to add more depth to the scene. It was originally in my plan to add something like this because I need more foregrounds in my illustrations. But I went at this not looking at a reference for what curtains look like. I'm like, oh, I can draw curtains. I know what curtains look like. No, I don't really, apparently. I spent some time trying to make them look right and kind of flowy and sheer. to add to the soft feel of the drawing. And I thought I had it, like I left it thinking that I had it, and I slept on it, and I came back and I'm just like, no, I do not have it. So you will see the curtains remain as I finish them here, but in my final piece I redid them. I looked at some references of curtains and that helped a bit. And you'll also see that I did add some backgrounds, just very, very basic shadowy type background, but I felt like it looked a little bit flat, so you'll see that in the final image at the end. And I do apologize really for the recording of this because it looks so bright and saturated here. I'm not sure why my camera did that for this one and not my other one so much, but it's worth looking into because it's not really high quality, and I apologize for that. So the rest is me working on little details I'm not sure anyone else would notice, but would still drive me insane. I really hope you enjoyed my process, and And if you have any questions about anything, please let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to like this video, subscribe for a new video every week, and go check out all the amazing fan creations on the official Zutara Month Tumblr page. We're a happy yet still salty community full of love. Happy arting!